Hello, hello. Welcome to the Five Talents Podcast. I'm your host, Abel Pacheco. I interview the top commercial real estate investors and industry experts so you can learn from their experiences. So if you're an investor, a high W-2 earner, or real estate or tech sales professional that wants to invest in real estate without having to manage properties or leave your day job, then this podcast is for you. Or if you're already investing in real estate, but you're doing it part-time and you want to become a full-time multifamily or full-time commercial real estate investor, this podcast is for you too. You're going to learn a ton. You will learn from real-life multifamily investors and other professionals in the industry. They're going to share their blueprints for success, and I'm super excited that you're here. So I hope you enjoy the show. Hello, hello. This is Abel Pacheco, your host for the Five Talents Podcast. We are super excited today to have one of those esteemed guests on our show today, Mr. Rod Khleif. Rod, thank you for joining.
Oh, thanks for having me, brother. This is a lot of fun. I love your energy. What is Five Talents, though? Forgive me. I should know what that means, but what does it mean?
You're totally okay. It's our parable of the five talents, Matthew 25:14. So thanks for asking, because that's it's kind of the basis of our business was found on. I want to take five talents and double them, make them 10. And it is a good parable about really putting your time, talents, efforts, energy, and making the best of those resources. So it's a great one. Yeah.
Love it.
Thanks for asking. And so for those that don't know Rod, let me just at least give him a couple of nuggets here. He's really an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur that's built multiple businesses and very successful ones. He's a philanthropist. He's passionate about real estate and helping others. I met Rod at boot camp. I think our first one that we went to was in maybe Baltimore. And then I saw you again in Baltimore. LA. Then we went to a couple of your virtual boot camps. So I've been to multiple rounds, met with some of your students and your mastermind folks, partnered with a few of your mastermind.
No kidding. People. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Wow. And essentially what I've learned about Rod is that he is one of those peak performance luminaries. He's really helpful, giving back to others and making sure that the knowledge that he has, that he has taken has had his success helping others achieve that same is amazing. So Rod, you've built, multiple 24 businesses in your past 40, year business career. You've made millions of dollars. You've also lost it and come back, which is amazing. Let me turn it over to you. In your own words, tell us who you are and what you do, and we'll just start a great conversation here.
Sure. So I'm going to go a little off topic here. Bye, baby. My wife's leaving. So you talked about mastermind, and I don't want to leave that topic.
Sure.
Let's talk about that for just a second and then I'll tell my story. So guys, Napoleon Hill in his book, Think and Grow Rich, and I've given away thousands of copies of that. In fact, Abel, you got a copy at one of my boot camps because a couple of them. Yeah. Cause I give it away there because it's such an important work. And one of the things that he talks about is the mastermind. And anytime you get two like minds together, they create this third intangible third mind that's greater than the sum of the parts. So, I've belonged to many masterminds. I now host my own, which Abel was talking about. I'm blessed to say I'm pretty sure we've got the largest multifamily mastermind in the world with about 14 billion in assets represented by the members. In fact, we just met here in Sarasota about a month ago. But so I'm going to encourage you, those of you listening, if you're, whatever your interests, wherever they lie, get around other people that want the same thing, because a rising tide lifts all ships. We want to be around people that think what we think is hard is easy, right? So that's why a mastermind is so powerful. So just want to hammer that home before I move on. But anyway, yeah, I used to do live events. You've been to a couple of them, and that's so cool.
They're amazing. I'm excited at some point to get back to them.
Oh, me too,
whenever
man.
we start getting back to them.
Me too. Yeah, I was supposed to have 800 people in Orlando, and we all know what happened, back in May of last year, and I was freaking out. And so I had to innovate or pivot, and maybe those of you listening or watching, maybe you're at a place in your life where you need to innovate or pivot right now. And don't be afraid of it. Just put on your creative hat. and think about how you can make it better or do it better. And some of the best businesses in the, strongest businesses in the world were built in tough times. Now, like you said, I've built 24 businesses, and I don't call them failures. I call them seminars. Several of those 24 have been worth tens of millions of dollars. Most have been spectacular flaming seminars. Okay. And so, but the message there is not to fear failure. Okay. In fact, fear regret much more than failure. Fear being in the same place a year from now that you are right now, unless you freaking love where you are right now. But anyway, so I got off topic here. So my name's Rod Khleif. Immigrated to this country when I was 6 years old with my brother Albert, my mother's Vantje. I was born in the Netherlands, in Holland, wooden shoes and windmills, and ended up in Denver, Colorado, where I lived for 30 years. And we struggled. I'm going to tell you, I wore clothes from the Goodwill and the Salvation Army all the way through junior high school till I lied about my age at Burger King when I was 14 because I was tall and started flipping burgers so I could buy my own clothes. And I remember we ate expired food. We had powdered milk with our cereal in the morning because that was cheaper than regular milk. And, and I'm sure there may be somebody listening or watching right now that had it tougher than we did, or maybe has had it tougher in the past. But see, I knew I wanted more. And luckily, my mom had an incredible work ethic. So she babysat kids so we'd have enough money to eat. And with her babysitting money, she became a bit of an entrepreneur. So she invested in the stock market and did well. But she also bought the house across the street from us when I was about 14 for about $30,000. And then when I was 17, she told me she'd made $20,000 in her sleep that had gone up in value that much. And I'm like, what? Screw college, Mom. Sorry, I'm not going to college. I'm getting into real estate. I'm going to be rich in real estate. So I went out and got my real estate broker's license right when I turned 18. And which you could do back then with education. I wasn't just an agent. I was an actual broker. And so I was going to be rich selling other people's houses. Well, my first year in real estate, I made about $8,000. My second year, maybe 10, 12 grand. But my third year, I made over $100,000. And this is 1981. Which was decent money back in 1981. So what happened between year 2 and year 3 that caused me to 10x my income? Well, what happened was I met a guy, I actually dated his daughter, that taught me about mindset and psychology, and how really 80 to 90% of your success in anything is your mindset and your psychology. It's not the technical knowledge. If it was knowledge, there'd be a bunch of wealthy librarians and college professors out there, right? It's the do, it's the keep doing, it's the pushing through fear, it's the pushing through limiting beliefs, or maybe you're comfortable. And the comfort zone's a warm place, but nothing freaking grows there, right? So it's about mindset and psychology. And so, fast forward to today, I've owned over 2,000 houses I rented long-term. I've owned thousands of apartment units. In 2006, my net worth went up $17 million while I slept. And
holy moly, 2006, $17 million.
$17 million bucks. It's like $8,300 an hour if you do it and over a year. And of course I did. And I got a head so big I could barely fit it through a door. And I thought I was a real estate god because I, made so much money in 1 year. And then, when that happens and you get all cocky like that, sometimes God will give you a smackdown. And that was 2008 for me. I lost $50 million in 2008. I lost everything. So one of the things that I enjoy talking about, as you know, Abel, is the mindset it took to have 50 million to lose in the first place. But then the mindset, even as important, is the mindset it took to recover from losing it and to get back to the success that I'm blessed to have today. So I'm happy to drill down on that a little bit if you like. I mean, you're familiar with what I do at my boot camps. And by the way, I've got one coming up a week from on May 22nd and 23rd.
Which I highly recommend.
Thank you.
So
Thank you, brother.
I spent, thousands of dollars on multiple coaching sessions, real estate coaching. And what I did was I didn't apply some of the same due diligence that we apply on our real estate to our education courses. And I went to a weekend seminar or a training event, and they were talking about buying a bunch of real estate. And I just signed up on Sunday. I go, here's $20,000. And I knew I wanted to do multifamily at that point, but I didn't ask about the curriculum. And 90% of it was single family, and about 10% of it was commercial. And I did learn a lot of good nuggets through that process. However, when I realized when I went to yours, I go, oh, this is exactly what I wanted to do multifamily syndication, buying something bigger than we would have been able to buy before. So I went to your course and I was like, this is my people, and very open. It's great to network in. I met so many contacts throughout the many multiple events. The networking is almost as good as your education, but the education.
No, thank you. No, it's sometimes better. I will tell you, at that last event you were at in LA, I got goosebumps going out now. Excuse me. I'm just getting over COVID. I got goosebumps going out in the hallway, seeing hundreds of people in groups of 3 or 4 networking. It was like, holy cow, this is exactly what I wanted to accomplish. I mean, of course I was pissed they weren't in the room. No, I'm kidding. But it was incredible. The networking was incredible. But anyway, so I've got that coming up, and we have a networking component virtually. It's online. But here's the thing. I don't sell anything at this event. It's 2 days. It's Saturday and Sunday, the 22nd, 23rd. I don't sell anything there. And if you use, I'm going to give you a code. If you use this code, you can come for $97 and nothing's being sold. 18 hours of training, nothing being sold. It's kind of a duh. Seriously, if you're interested in this business. So if you text the word multifamily, you know what you can do? Rod Live. Text Rod Live or multifamily to 72345, but then use the code Rod Friend. Okay. And if you use the code Rod Friend, or you can go to multifamilyvirtualbootcamp.com, multifamilyvirtualbootcamp.com, or text Rod Live or multifamily, either one of those two, multifamily one word, Rod Live one word, to 72345, and use the code Rod Friend. You come for $97. And it's 18 hours. It's drinking through a fire hose. If you're serious about this business, I mean, it is. I've had thousands of people now come virtually. I've never had a complaint other than the breaks are too short. I do 15-minute breaks every 2 or 3 hours. And trust me, they're harder on me than on you, because I got to eat and pee and everything else in the 15 minutes. But you'll love it. And I mean, Abel, you've gone a couple times, so you can certainly speak to it.
What's amazing about these events, even for $100, man, you're gonna get 1,000x the value, literally in the education. But one of the things people always ask me is, which program should I do? Because I've done like 5 or 6 of them. I'm in a few masterminds as well. And I just took as much action as I possibly could. It took me 10 years to buy 8 houses, Rod. I bought 8, and then it went from 8 to 800 doors. Nice. From 2018 to 2020. I invested passively in about 400 doors. We started being an active GP. General partner principal. Now we're total GP. We're in about 650 doors. I can't believe we're invested in $100 million of commercial real estate. Nice. But every single coaching, training, education program that I've gone to, every single one, whether I thought it was really great or just okay, I've met new partners that I've worked with that I've been, either they're invested with me or we're talking about deals. And the ultimate thing is you have to say yes. You can't look around and say, hey, I'm not going to go do that. I don't want to spend my time. I don't want to spend my effort, my energy. You have to do these things. If you want to do something you've never done before, you have to do things you've never done before, like attend some of these coaching programs, education, go hang out with Rod. You want to learn how to, make $50 million. You want to learn how to avoid that loss. And then you want to learn how to rebuild it again. That's where, somebody like Rod, you can't get that education or knowledge from anybody else than the source. They're amazing.
Let me hammer what you just said home. Can you allow me to share my screen for a second?
Yeah, brother. Let me, I don't know how, but let's
see. You have to make me a co-host.
Okay. I'm going to do this, Rod.
Or maybe it'll let me. Hang on. No, can you see it? Can you see it?
Yeah,
it says I'm sharing. So these are some of the boot camps I've gone to, guys. Okay. These are some of the boot camps I've gone to. This isn't even all of them, and so guys, learners are earners. And so if you can't see this, if you're just hearing this, it's a picture of me with my arms out, and I have about 200 lanyards with name tags from events that I've gone to over the years. And it's not even all of them, but just in light of what Abel just said, I never went to college. My college is books and courses like this. I think college fails a lot of people, but Yeah, my focus, is adding as much value, like you, Abel, is adding as much value as I possibly can. And that's why I don't sell anything. They're like, yeah, you do this for $97, you don't sell anything. I don't think that's true, but that's but it's not BS. It's real because sure, I have a coaching program and it costs a lot more than $97. But I'm not shoving it down your throat. If you want to call and set up a call with my team, do it. If not, that's cool too, but you'll get so much information and networking and everything else at the event that that's just the way the world works. I mean, you can see behind me here, there's some of the hundreds of thank you cards I've gotten behind my green screen. My whole wall's covered with them from students. I literally get probably 5 to 10 of them a day of thank yous. And somebody just today retired from their job. One of my students just retired, Mandy, just retired from her job today. And so I just got that this morning, and it's just such a gift. And I know you get this love too, brother, just from what
congratulations on everything. And it's been super helpful, and vice versa. Your coaching students and people in network and community. It's great to be a part of it. So
it's a lot of fun. And that's why you and I are addicted to it, because we get the love, we get the feedback. And that's why my wife puts up with me working on Sundays. But anyway, back to my story. Let me, if you'll allow me, let me share the goal setting process that I go through. If you can't make it to my boot camp on the 22nd,
sure, that'd be amazing. That'd be amazing. Hello. You're listening to the 5 Talents Podcast. I'm your host, Abel Pacheco. If you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you're serious about achieving financial freedom. Are you ready to create your own path through multifamily investing for yourself and your family? Then I know you're going to appreciate our Investor's Guide to Multifamily Investing. It's titled Tackling Commercial Real Estate the Easy Way. We use this guide to invest ourselves in $93 million worth of real estate. So we're going to show you the basic mechanics of multifamily syndications and how to evaluate your next passive investment opportunity. So the best part, if you subscribe to our podcast now, leave us a review and a rating. I'm going to give you a free copy of our ebook. So please take a moment to do that now. Once you've done that, go to 5tcre.com/ebook, 5tcre.com/ebook. Make sure to let us know you left a review, and we're going to send you a free copy. So thank you so much for subscribing to the 5 Talents Podcast. We really appreciate it. Let me preface it 1 second, Rod. So when you think about our listeners, I think we've got 2 different groups of folks, probably among many other classifications, but at least 2 that some are doing deals today. They're in their first, they're in their second, they're in their third or fourth deal. And we're trying to be around others that have already been there, done that, leading deals, putting them together, finding funding, financing, and building teams, right, to go do that. The other half of our listeners are just passive investors. Mm-hmm. They want to get there. They want to learn how this works, mm-hmm. so that they can feel confident in investing. So as you're setting the goals, or talking about your goal setting exercise, which is amazing, I've been through many multiple times. Yeah, just kind of frame it in those 2. I think let me
pre-frame it right now. But let me say this as well. I'm another shameless plug, but it's the reality. If you're going to give your hard-earned money to someone, you should learn what it is you're investing in. If it's going to be the stock market, then for God's sakes, study the stock market. If it's going to be multifamily, you want to passively invest in a multifamily deal, for God's sakes, come to my boot camp and spend some time learning the business so that you can see if an operator really knows what they're doing. You have an understanding of what to ask and the questions to ask and what to look for, because there are some skinny deals being done right now. You see this, Abel. You're investing final on a deal and you're like scratching your head when you see what they end up buying it for, and you're like, how the hell can they make those numbers work? And so you don't want to be on the other end of that, investing in a deal like that that's not going to give the returns, or worse, is going to lose money. So again, come spend a couple days with me. But let's talk about goal setting, because how the heck are you going to get anything if you don't know what it is, right? With clarity, you need to know what it is that you want. And so, you've got to have what Napoleon Hill calls a burning desire. Okay. You've got to really want it. That's what's going to get you to push through the fear and push through any limiting beliefs that you have, or get uncomfortable, to grind for a few years like most people won't, to live the rest of your life like most people can't. And that's why that's the first thing I do at my boot camps. Now, by the way, if you can't attend my boot camp, DM me on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever, Twitter, whatever, and I'll send you a link to this, because I did this on January 2nd. I do it every year around the 1st or the 2nd. I do this goal setting workshop with music. There's a free download of a goal setting guide you can download. So if you can't make the boot camp, then just DM me and I'll get you the link to that. And I'll guide you through this process. It takes about an hour and 15 minutes. But what I want to do is just give you a high level overview of what we do. So what you do is you pick an hour when you have a lot of energy, okay? You make sure you're hydrated, you drink your water, you don't do it right after you have a meal, and you sit down and write down everything you could ever want in life, okay? The big things, the little things, the jewelry, the clothes, the houses, the boats, the jet skis, the planes, the motorcycles, all the stuff. And take the lid off your brain. Imagine if you write it down, you're gonna get it, which is not outside the realm of reality. Take the lid off your brain, because, I will give you an example of this. When I was 18, I lived in Denver, but I knew I wanted to live on the beach. Okay. And there's no beach in Denver. Well, maybe Cherry Creek Reservoir has a little bit of a beach, but no real beach. And so I knew that I wanted to live on the beach. So I visualized living on the beach for 20 freaking years, the palm trees, the surf, the sand. And 20 years later, I built this $8 million 3-story mansion on the beach. I own the beach on one side. I had my boat lifts on the backside. It was called a Gulf to Bay home. It's magnificent, but it was unthinkable when I was 18. So I don't want you to limit yourself. If you want a yacht, a jet, a private island, whatever it is, write it down. So write down everything you could want. Write down how much cash flow you want from your real estate, say in 3 years, and then maybe how much cash flow you want to have in 10 years. Write down how much cash you want in the bank, say in 3 or 4 years, and how much you want in 10 years, and put specific numbers down. Because, I used to have this sign above my bed that said 100,000 a month. Well, I'm going to tell you that I've added 2 zeros to that, and it's up there now, right? My wife hates it because it's in our freaking bedroom, but it says $1 million a month. And so the point is, maybe that's 1 0. That's 1 0. But anyway, so the point is, I do this because it freaking works. Okay. The 100,000, I've eclipsed that times 3 or 4 or 5. But the point is, this stuff works. So write down how much money you want. Write down also all the things that you want to do in this lifetime. Okay. Maybe you want to, the places you want to travel. I've got a travel vision board. Maybe excursions you want to take, a safari. Maybe you want to climb every mountain over 14,000 feet. Maybe you want to jump out of a perfectly good airplane. I've done that. I won't ever do it again, but it's off my bucket list, right? So write down everything.
I got it once. It was amazing. And I'm not sure if I'll go back again.
I won't do it again. If they'd have told me to wear a helmet, I probably would have enjoyed it, because it was just so uncomfortable on my face. I digress. But anyway, so write down everything you want to do. Also write down everything you want to learn in this lifetime. So it's not just the stuff, it's everything you want to do, be, or have. So write down everything you want to learn. You want to learn a foreign language, write it down. You want to write a book, write it down. You want to learn multifamily, for God's sakes, come spend a couple days with me. But whatever it is, write that down. Then lastly, write down who you want to help. We will do more for others than we'll ever do for ourselves. And again, you want to use this. So, like I bought my parents a house here in Florida on a canal when my dad was alive, bought him a car, took him on cruises. Who do you want to do something for? Write it down. And so do that. And then let's see who you want to help. Okay. Once you can't think of another thing, I want you to put a time limit on each goal. Okay. And by the way, if you're analytical and you're sitting there writing the goals down, don't stop and think about each one. Just keep writing. You can always scratch them out later. Don't analyze them. Just keep writing. Don't let the pen leave the paper. And every possible thing you could possibly ever want, you want to write down. But anyway, then you want to put a time limit on each goal, because that makes it real. So put how many years it's going to take you to achieve it. Put a 1, a 3, a 5, even a 10 or a 20. Like I said, that house on the beach was unthinkable when I was young, but 20 years later I had it. So So put a time limit on each goal. You know, see, as human beings, we'll overestimate what we can do in a year and massively underestimate what we can do in 5, 10, 20 years, as evidenced by my example there. And by the way, these examples I'm going to give you about me personally, please know I'm not bragging, because I just hoping to inspire you to what's possible. Please know that. Okay. Now, once you've got a time limit on each goal, I want you to pick your number one goal. I mean, that goal when you get it like, oh my God, this is freaking amazing. You know you've arrived when you achieve that goal. And if you've got 2 or 3 that are equally exciting, just pick one. It won't matter. Put it on a separate sheet of paper. Then I want you to pick your top 3 one-year goals and put those on a separate sheet of paper and leave room. And like I said, if you go to my Rod Khleif official page, I did this on January 2nd, and you'll get this goal setting worksheet, you know, that we hand out at my boot camps as well. And it's all written out for you. But otherwise, just put these 4 goals on a separate sheet of paper, leave room in between them. Now, at this point, you are ahead with your 4 goals, with this much time that you spent on this. You're ahead of 99.9% of the people on the planet that'll do a New Year's resolution, and 67 or 70% of them are forgotten by February. Okay. But there's a couple more really important steps. The goals are important. The goals will drive you. They'll push you. They'll pull you, and they're really important. But why the goals are an absolute must is the most important piece. You need to write down why you must achieve each one of those goals. And here's what's important. Use emotionally charged words. Words are incredibly powerful if you use them. Words like amazing and beautiful and incredible, because they'll move you. And so you might write, so I can show my kids what incredible success looks like. So I can show my wife what it means to live a life of abundance, you know, so that we can have the freedom to do whatever we want, whenever we want, wherever we want, bring whoever we want, you know, whatever's going to juice you, write it down. Okay. And take time with this, because truly it's the why that's going to get you to take action, get you to get up early, stay up late, do whatever you have to do to make this happen, because, you know, you don't want regret. And so, you've written down why it has to happen. I want you to put some pain in there if you don't achieve the goal. And I mean, I want you to make it painful. You want to say, so I don't feel like a failure. So I don't fail my kids. So I don't fail my husband or wife. So I don't live a life of regret. Why? Because as human beings, we'll do more to avoid pain than gain pleasure. And this is the fuel that gets you to freaking take action. This is what gives you that burning desire so that you go make it happen, so you don't have any regrets. You know, there was a nurse in Australia, a hospice nurse. So she took care of patients at the end of their lives. Her name was Bronnie Ware. And she asked him a question. And the question was, do you have any regrets? And, you know, she wrote a book about it. It's called The 5 Regrets of Dying. You know what the number 1 regret was? And you've heard this, Abel, so you know this. But it was not living the life I could have lived, living someone else's life, not doing what I know I'm capable of. Guys, fear regret much more than you fear failure. You know, I met, we were talking about the importance of masterminds, and I met Sarah Blakely, the billionaire owner of Spanx, at a mastermind that I belonged to. It was a digital marketing mastermind. And I met her, and she told me that her dad used to ask her and her brother once a week, what have you failed at this week? And I thought, man, that is such a freaking awesome question to ask your kids so they don't fear failure, because we fail our way to success, right? That's really how it works. I mean, again, I've had 24 businesses. Most have failed seminars. Okay. But here I am, you know, because we learn, we grow, we become better from each failure. That $50 million seminar, you know, it sucked, but I learned a lot. Okay. I learned to study demographics and a lot of other things that have impacted, you know, the success of my multifamily journey. So anyway, so you've written down your positive and negative reasons why. The last thing you must do is you must make declarations, and you must get pictures of your goals. If you look behind my green screen, you can kind of see it on the floor there. I've got my vision boards. That's my travel vision board right there on the floor. I've got vision boards for everything that's important to me. I've got pictures in my, you know, I'll show you that in a second actually, but let me give you some public examples of what I'm talking about here. Jim Carrey's a great example. When he was flat broke, wrote himself a check for $10 million. He used to go up by the Hollywood sign, and he would look at it and visualize cashing it. And that's how much money he made for Dumb and Dumber. Another more recent example is Demi Lovato. When she was unknown 10 years ago, posted on social media, one day I'm going to sing the national anthem at the Super Bowl. Not this last one, the one before. Go watch and see who sang it. Another great example is around visualization is Walt Disney story. When Epcot Center was built, Walt Disney had already died, and Roy Disney was there for the grand opening. That was the last park they built here in Disney World here in Orlando. And a reporter went up to Roy Disney and said, it's a shame Walt didn't get to see this. And Roy looked at him and said, and this is famous quote, you can Google this, said, the only reason you're seeing this is because Walt saw this. Olympic athletes, for example, they visualize a race before they do it because it's been proven to enhance results. Okay, so anyway, get pictures of your goals. I'll give you some personal examples for me. When I was 18, I got my real estate broker's license, and I was going to be rich selling other people's houses. Well, I got a 4-door car because I figured I had to have a 4-door to go show people houses. So I got this bone freaking ugly Ford Granada, bench seat in the front, just a real piece of crap. Well, I told you about that guy that taught me about mindset. Well, I was dating his daughter, so I was at their house a lot. He had Corvettes, he had Lincoln Continental, they had snowmobiles, jet skis. I mean, just stuff I'd never seen before. A 3-car garage, just incredible stuff. Well, he let me drive one of his Corvettes, and I'm like, oh my God, this is freaking amazing. So I got a picture. This is before internet had been thought of. I got a picture out of a magazine of a Corvette, and I put it on the visor of my Granada. So every time I sat in the car, it was right there in front of me. Within a year or two, I had a Corvette. And I'm going to give you some more examples. But again, I'm not trying to brag because this stuff doesn't even really interest me anymore, but I'm hoping to inspire you to what's possible. So this is back when the TV show Magnum PI was out. Actor's name was Tom Selleck. He was a detective in Hawaii. And that was the first time I'd seen an exotic car. And he drove a Ferrari 308. And I'm like, holy shit, that is amazing. And so I got a picture of that actual car, and I put it on the visor of my Corvette. Within a year or two, I had a Maserati look just like it. Last example, I'm the guy that always wanted a Lamborghini. And I had posters in my room growing up, and it was the Countach was the model back then, the one that Mike Tyson bought him and his wife. They were married for, I think, 2 weeks, matching white ones. Anyway, what's interesting is my son collected models of exotic cars, and I actually have the model. It's over in the other building here in my compound. I have the model of the exact, he had a model of the exact same color and style Lamborghini that I ended up getting. But so in fact, let me show you something. You've seen this, Abel. This is my planner. Okay. It's on today. We're recording this on May 13th. In the back of this thing, I've got pictures that have been in here for 20 years. Okay. Now the first pictures are my gratitude pictures. Like behind the green screen here, I've got a gratitude vision board as well. Why? Because everything starts from gratitude. So these are pictures of my kids when they were young. Those of you listening can't see this. They're in plastic. They've literally been in here for 22 years. So pictures of my kids when they were young. But then I've got pictures of the stuff that I wanted. Like this top picture looks just like that house I had on the beach. I had 10-foot high glass like that, all but together. I had travertine floors. Now I lost that house and all the craziness. Okay. So I lost it with the divorce and with 2008 and everything else that happened. But what's crazy is I own a compound now. I've got 6 buildings. I've got a big main house. I've got a beautiful 2-bedroom guest house. My daughter's staying in it right now. I've got a media building with a video studio that we built for me to do my events. And because God's got a sense of humor, I can see my old house across the bay. Literally, it's right out my backyard. It's just hilarious. But what's fascinating is you guys can't see this on iTunes, but Abel, see those 2 white walls in the pictures there? You see the 2 white walls in those lower pictures? Yeah. Okay, behind me is my backyard. See the white wall? Is that freaking crazy? It's the exact same wall that I had in these pictures. And then I've got, what else have I got in here? Oh, stupid stuff like watches. I got a few $100,000 worth of watches that I thought was important at the time. There's a Lamborghini before I ever got it. Okay. A Rolls Royce, Bentley, all these things that I got that again, at one time I thought were important, but I got them because I had pictures. So those of you analytical ones going, oh, for God's sakes, let's get on with the real estate stuff. I'm here to tell you this is more freaking important than the real estate stuff because this is how you get it. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox, brother.
No, it's okay, man. I'm super pumped. I'm excited. I'm ready to run through some brick walls, talking to you and hanging out with you. So I don't mind it at all. I keep attending and I'll keep coming because of your passion and excitement and your genuineness genuine sincerity to help other people. So I'm excited for it. At the same, in the same time to kind of contrast it, right? As I share my story and I'm trying to talk about pain a little bit, it's not even real pain that the way you described it, the fear of regret it should be way higher than the fear of failure.
Sure.
That's probably the biggest pain I could foresee if I didn't change something. Those 10 years to buy 8 houses, I had a limiting belief, and I bought my first house when I was 26. I kept that same mindset from 26 to
what was your
38.
limiting belief? Do you mind sharing it?
I just thought I wasn't worthy. I wasn't the person to buy a bigger deal than a single family house.
You didn't deserve it. Yeah.
I didn't deserve
I felt
it.
like I wasn't
couldn't
good
make
enough.
it happen.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know how to, well, I just didn't even think about that big of a number, even though I had read some books. Hey, this is how to buy an apartment complex. I read Ken McElroy's The ABCs of Real Estate Investing, and looked at that book right after Kiyosaki's book. And then I just, ended up being in this frame of reference or frame of mind. When I was 26, I had $5,000 in the bank, and that's what I put down as my down payment. I kept that same mindset for 12 years.
Did you buy your multifamily after one of my boot camps? I mean, is that when did that play a role at all? Did you already definitely?
I already had some rolling into your first boot camp. However, one of your mastermind guys, Devin Elder, was essentially one of the individuals that helped me in that path. I invested passively once, twice, 3 times. That's along the path when I started taking education and getting after it. Now, I'll say the first one, I had 120 plus units. We partnered with 3 individuals. We raised a couple $1 million, and we went and did that deal. But after that, I kind of going in, I go, man, this is where I want to be. And it definitely increased my network, more investors, more potential partners, visibility, exposure to do the next 4 or 5 deals. Right. It's just, it's amazing.
Nice.
So I appreciate it.
Let me talk about a couple other things. I want to add as much value as I can, brother, because I know that's what you're all about. So the next thing I want to talk about is leadership. I know if you're watching or listening to Abel right now, you're a leader, okay? And right now, more than ever, the world needs leaders. And don't get me started on the political scene, but we need leaders. And so it's really important that you pay attention to your focus. Focus is power. So make sure you're bringing in the good stuff. Don't get caught up in CNN or the news. The news isn't there to inform us. It's there to startle and scare us. So beware of that and bring in the good stuff. My podcast, I do these Own Your Power clips. They're motivational clips. They're 5 minutes. Even if you're not interested in the multifamily, you'll get value from those. But I'll go on YouTube and watch heartwarming stories or I'll go on there and I'll watch service people coming home to their kids or things like that warm my heart and bring in the good stuff, the motivation. There's so much motivational content out there because you have to stand guard at your mind and keep the bad stuff out because your focus is so important. Whatever you focus on, both positive or negative, is going to get bigger. Okay. Negative will get bigger too if that's where your head is. So just pay attention to that. Really important. So that's number 1. Number 2, I want to talk about peer group, if you'll allow me for just a moment.
Please.
Who you hang out with. We talked about this in the mastermind. Who you hang out with is who you become. So most people default to a peer group that's like the people they work with or the people they went to school with. They don't proactively think about that like you do, Abel, by going to my boot camps and other events like I do as well. I want to be around people that are making things happen, that aren't going to be afraid of my success, that aren't going to, hold me back because of their jealousy or fear, and sometimes those people are family. And I would tell you, love your family, but choose your peers. Be very cognizant about who you select. And if I could just add one thing before I forget about goals, because otherwise I'll forget. I talked about that house on the beach that I built. Okay. And this place was freaking magnificent. I mean, I had a giant waterfall from the 2nd floor balcony into the pool. You had to walk through the waterfall to get in the pool. Pool was in magazines. I had these trees that I spent tens of thousands of dollars that bent out over the pool and then went up. The pool changed colors at night. They had big spiral staircase up through the middle of the house. On the 2nd floor, I had an aquarium built. With a supplemental aquarium in my office. Those aquariums cost me almost $200,000. So that gives you an idea of the house. So I worked for this thing for 20 freaking years. Okay. That's how long I worked for this goal. I mean, I'm not regretting it, but that's what I did. 2 months after I moved in, 2 months, I'm floating in the pool at night. My family's inside sleeping, and I'm looking up at this testament to my ego. We talked about limiting beliefs and fear, and my limiting belief was I wasn't good enough. So I built this house to prove the world I was good enough. Okay, that's the truth of it. And I'm looking up at this thing, 2 months after I moved in, and I got depressed. And I don't mean just a little bummed. I mean, I was really bummed. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? I've just achieved a success like times 1,000. And I want to share this with your listeners and your viewers, because this is just so important. The goals are important. You need them. But the goals aren't what's going to make you happy. What makes you happy is continual progress and growth. And so I didn't know what I was going to do next. Like the good book says, without a vision, the people perish. I didn't have a vision for the future. So I didn't know what I was going to do next. So that was one thing that was going on. The second thing that was going on is you should never achieve a big, well, this kind of ties into that. You should never achieve a big goal without having other goals lined up behind it. Same thing. And that's why, when at my boot camps, I teach this planning process about progress and growth, how you have to celebrate anything that you got done on a weekly basis, because you're going to have setbacks and delays. And if you're acknowledging your progress, you'll be happy. So it's really important. But the big thing that was going on was I'd been totally focused on Rod. Show the world I'm good enough. Show the world I matter. And so I went out and bought a bunch of books. And, because I'm not the kind of guy that's going to lay on a couch and go through counseling and all that. Not that I'm against it. I did it after my divorce. But the point is, that's just not, my personality type. And so I went out and bought, Dale Carnegie. I got Zig Ziglar, Tom Hopkins, Tony Robbins. And I started reading Tony's book. And I'm like, holy cow, this is good stuff. So I went and saw him live. This is 22 years ago. And I found out that he fed families for the holidays. And I'm like, wow, what a concept. Do something for someone else instead of just for Rod. And so went to Denver actually for Thanksgiving. We do it for Christmas now mostly, but for Thanksgiving. And I told my brother, let's go feed 5 families. So we went to his church and asked them who really needs help. Third family changed my life. We went up to this building. It was a 4-plex, but it was a real crappy design. It's called a row house, I think. But you go into the front door, into the living room. You walk through the bedroom to get to the kitchen. So there's no hallway. You got to walk through the bedroom to get to the kitchen, which has the bathroom off it. So it's a crappy 1 bedroom. Well, lady was in there with 5 kids. She comes out, she sees we bought toys for the kids, which is frozen turkey, boxes, 2 couple boxes of food. She sees all this on the porch and she starts crying. Her kids come out. The older ones start crying. I start crying and I'm freaking hooked. And I'm blessed to say now, Abel, over the last 22 years, we've now fed over 100,000 kids here. And I'm not saying this to brag. Please know this. I'll tell you why I'm saying this in a second. But we've also done tens of thousands of backpacks filled with school supplies. Crazy to me. We live in the greatest country on earth and kids don't have basic supplies for school. I've done tens of thousands of teddy bears filled with, to put it for officers to put in their cars. When they encounter a child that's been traumatized. And, Tony Robbins calls this the science of achievement versus the art of fulfillment, how you can have achievement, but not be fulfilled. And that's really where I was. And it's been the greatest gift in my life. And again, I'm not telling you this to brag, but I know if you're listening to Abel, you may be young and have blood dripping from your teeth and you want this so freaking bad. Well, I'm here to tell you, incorporate giving back right now. Don't say I'll do it when I have money, because you get it back 100-fold. I told you, I do my boot camps for $97. I don't make any real money, $97 a head, but I give so much value. People are like, you know what? I want to work with this guy. So they end up in my coaching program. My coaching students now, I've been teaching for under 4 years. I'm pretty sure we're now over 45,000 units owned. I'm really freaking proud of that. And so, the point is what you give, you get back. And so I would encourage you, we've been taught to achieve, to be happy. I'm here to tell you, if you give back and incorporate giving back right now, you're happily achieving. And you're going to get there faster. Now, you don't do it for that reason, but you're going to get there faster and you'll be happier because you'll be fulfilled. I'm about to break 11 million downloads on my podcast. I think next week, actually. I'm real proud of that. Which is mind blowing to me. But I've interviewed billionaires on my show, mega millionaires, and I can tell if they're like I was back then, because I see it. Some of them are good at hiding it. And I feel sad for them because they haven't evolved to realize that, we're put on this earth to give back. Everything in this universe that anything that doesn't contribute is actually eliminated. We've got 2 hands, one to pull ourselves up and one to pull someone else up underneath us. So I just want to share that before I forget. So thank you.
Rod, it's been amazing interviewing you, brother. It's been amazing hanging out. And on a personal level, I just want to tell you, thank you very much. Your personality, the individual that you are, the community that you built, your network has absolutely helped me achieve a lot of the success that I've had. So thank you.
Oh,
and I
my
really
pleasure, brother.
sincerely
Thank you.
appreciate it. And then hearing some of the ways that you give back, I'm reminded, it's so important. I remember my grandma would, at, I don't know, 70 something years old, was climbing on the back and jumping on the back of 18-wheeler trucks to like grab crates of food and go from the food bank to kind of go feed some, people that were in need. And I remember when I was a little kid, I would look at my grandma like, Grandma, are you need to be careful. What are you doing? All this heavy lifting and, there's crates of food and she's helping people, get fed. And I just remember her saying like, no, this is the important stuff. Like we need to go do more of this. And she was not in a financially, financial position to kind of do things. But that was her way of giving the time, effort, and energy, and to be able to scale that up, to your level. It's just amazing. Those are inspiring stories.
It's a gift, man. It's a gift to me, And by the way, I formed a foundation. I cover all the operational expenses and then some. So every dime goes to the food. But if you're interested in donating, I let me throw a plug in there because I never do this. I never bring it up. If you text Tiny Hands to one word, Tiny Hands, to 72345. It's a direct link to the website, and you can donate. And $22 feeds a family. So, I'd be grateful for any help. I paid for it all myself up until 2008. I mean, I fed 1,500 families in 2008. It was $50,000 out of my pocket. But then when the world crashed, I formed this foundation. Now I still pay a lot. I mean, every time somebody comes to the boot camp, I feed a family out of my pocket. So there you go. But anyway,
that's good, man. It's good to hear,
thanks, buddy. So Tiny Hands to 72345 if you're interested. Thanks.
Absolutely. And Rod, as we wrap up, is there any other place we should go to get connected to your world?
No, you're going to put this out before my boot camp. If you come spend a couple days with me, I promise you'll be glad you did. Even if you're just thinking multifamily, if you're just thinking real estate in general, you'll get so much information. And again, it's drinking through a fire hose. I mean, I got the manual here. Where is it? Yeah, no, that's my tool book. I'll just show you the size of the manual you get. I mean, it's all content. And again, nothing being sold. So, text Rod Live to 72345 or text multifamily is one word to 72345 and use the code RODFRIEND to come for $97. But anyway, no, that's pretty much it. If you my website has a bunch of free stuff. And that would be Real Estate with Rod. It's rodkhleif.com, but nobody can spell my name. So Real Estate with Rod takes you right there. Lots of free content. Of course, my podcast, Lifetime Cash Flow. I'm really proud of that. Just mind blowing how many downloads we've had.
A couple copies. Always recommend it as one of those books. It's a tactical and very detailed book on all the different A to Z on multifamily. So I appreciate it. And
Thank you,
is there anything else we didn't cover today that you're hoping to? Something you're hoping I asked we didn't get to? Feel good. Hearts and mind are clear, my friend.
No, I think we're good, brother. I mean, we could certainly talk technical multifamily till I'm blue in the face. I started to do Clubhouse recently. I did one a couple days ago, and I'm going to do that tonight.
Yeah. I saw you a couple times. I was on from December till like
it's
March.
Such a time suck.
Hard,
it's
and
such
then
a time suck.
I had to pull back for about a month.
Yeah, it's a real time suck, but I've decided I'm going to do it. Just to add value. Life is about adding value, so I'm going to do it. Well,
go connect with Rod there on Clubhouse as well. Yeah. Rod, it's been amazing. Thank you so much, brother. Really appreciate it. Friend. Yes, sir. And again, my name is Abel Pacheco. I am the host of 5 Talents Podcast. If you heard something today that provided you some value, which I know you got, go to our podcast, subscribe, rate, and review. Leave a written review. Also mention you heard, go to Rod's podcast, mention you heard him on ours. That would be amazing. And I'd be blessed to hear that. And appreciate your time. See you on the next show. Rod, thank you very much.
Thank you, brother. Great to see you, man.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the 5 Talents Podcast with your host, myself, Abel Pacheco.
Each week, we're going to bring you interviews from industry experts and commercial real estate investors who followed their dreams and achieved massive success. Before you leave, let me ask you a few questions. Did you enjoy this episode? Did you learn something valuable? Was your mind stretched to what's possible and what you can achieve? Do you want other experts just like the one you heard today? If you answered yes to any or all of those questions, then please take a moment to subscribe to the 5 Talents podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and most importantly, leave us a written review. Tell us what you liked, tell us your favorite guest, give us any feedback. I'm excited to learn and improve so you can get a more valuable show. So thank you again for subscribing to the 5 Talents podcast.